Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Wednesday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad and Instagram at Movies TV Mad 555. On today's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily, I have a Black Adam update for you. We are going to discuss Zack Snyder's brand new movie, which I believe is a total rip-off of Star Wars and could destroy Disney's Star Wars. I am very excited about this project, and we will finish off today's show by discussing what Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz could have done with 5 Superman movies in their own DC cinematic universe. But first, here is your Black Adam update. So we know there's under a week to go till Black Adam finishes filming and finishes production. It's very exciting. I believe we will complete this shoot with a great look of The Rock in the Black Adam costume, and I think that's so extremely exciting. So they've been talking to Sarah Charlie, I think, I forgot her name. She was in Person of Interest, a really good actor. I believe your character is named Adriana. Generally speaking, can you offer a description of her? Yeah, I play a character named Adriana, and she's a freedom fighter that's leading this big resistance against an evil, malicious group called the Intergang. And I think the Intergang is something within the of the panels of DC Comics. I'm not exactly sure about that. Anyone with some kind of knowledge of this, if you know about Black Adam in DC Comics, please let me know in the comments down below. What's the vibe of the set like? It's a fun set. It's a much different thing being a part of a big blockbuster movie than shooting a TV show. You move much slower, but the sets and the locations are just out of this world. It's make-believe to the nth degree. I had a moment the other day on set where I was just pinching myself. It was unreal. This is the whole reason why I got into this business. Isn't it refreshing to hear a woman talk about loving the art form, loving doing this and performing the art and saying this is why she got into the industry? And you know, it's really great. So, to reiterate what she said, what Sarah said, she said she's playing a character named Adriana, and she's a freedom fighter that's leading this big resistance against an evil, malicious group called Intergang. I know nothing about Intergang, and as I've already said, if you do know something about the Intergang, please let me know. But I'm very excited for this movie. I hope it's as awesome and as epic as I believe it will be. We've got the Justice Society of America. We've got Black Adam. I think that the commentary of slavery is going to be very important. I can't wait to see a trailer, and I certainly can't wait to see The Rock in his Black Adam costume. Right, now let's go to the big announcement nobody was expecting from Zack Snyder. And this is an article from Boris Kite from the Hollywood Reporter. So we click it and we read it. Let's go. Zack Snyder sets next movie sci-fi adventure Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon. We'll talk about it after the article. At Netflix exclusive, Snyder will co-write and direct the intergalactic adventure that is inspired by Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa. No, let's say that again, because this is actually very interesting, right? And I'll tell you why. Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa and Star Wars. Wow. 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 Inspired by Star Wars. Let's read this again, because look, you know where I'm going with this, and this is very interesting. Snyder will co-write and direct the intergalactic adventure that is inspired by Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa and Star Wars, because Akira Kurosawa is actually one of the main inspirations for Star Wars. That's one of George Lucas's main inspiration. We know. This guy's saying inspired by. This, look, I'm going to give you my opinion on this. I'm quite excited because when I first read this, I thought, he's on Netflix now. That's it for the DCEU. But then when I thought about what he's actually up to here, it's actually very, very interesting to me. And I think if you've fallen out of love with Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, because of what Disney have done, this is a very interesting announcement for you and for me. Zack Snyder has gone from zombie apocalypses in ancient Greece to nightmares and metropolises. Now the filmmaker is heading into faraway galaxies. Snyder has set his next project, an epic sci-fi fantasy titled Rebel Moon. that he is co-writing and will direct and produce for Netflix, the home of his most recent hit, Army of the Dead, and it re-teams the filmmaker with many of the creative colleagues of his past original ventures. Snyder is co-writing the script with Army screenwriter Shay Hatton and Kurt Johnstad, who co-wrote 300. That's probably one of Snyder's best movies. Snyder's stylish sword and sandal flick adapting the Frank Miller comic. Snyder and Johnstad will receive a story by credit. And he will produce with wife and producing partner Deborah Snyder via the duo's Stone Quarry, along with the long-time principal Wesley Collar. Eric Newman, who produced Snyder's 2004 feature debut Dawn of the Dead, another great movie. Because let's be honest, Dawn of the Dead, 300, and probably Watchmen, although Watchmen's controversial. But let's stick with what's it called? I forgot what it's called already. Basically, Dawn of the Dead. The film was written by James Gunn and directed by Snyder, and 300. They're the films that were his best reviewed films in the history of his career. Actually, Zack Snyder's Justice League will be in there as well. It was very well reviewed. But these are his movies that really most people don't have an issue with. So he's bringing those people back with him. So debut Dawn of the Dead, as well as movies ranging from Children of Men, and Children of Men's an amazing movie, and Project Power to Bright, and the upcoming Spiderhead is producing via his banner, Grand Electric. Grand Electric's Sarah Bowen will executive produce. Rebel also put Snyder back in business with Netflix. Scott Stuber, who oversaw Dawn of the Dead in his then role of vice chairman of Universal, and was instrumental in bringing in Army of the Dead. Listen to this. Just listen to this story. The story is set in motion when a peaceful colony on the edge of the galaxy is threatened by the armies of a tyrannical regent named Balaziros. I think that's how you say it. Desperate people dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from a neighbouring planet to help them make a stand. We're going to discuss all of this. Hilarious. This is me growing up as an Akira Kurosawa fan, a Star Wars fan, Snyder tells The Hollywood Reporter. It's my love of sci-fi and giant adventure. My hope is that this also becomes a massive IP and a universe that can be built out. Oh yes, Netflix are very ambitious. They brought on Snyder, one of the most famous, most talked about directors in the history of film. Whether you like him or hate him, he's big business. He's brought big business with to Netflix with Army of the Dead. Now, I think Army of the Dead's okay. I've only seen it once. It didn't make a great impression on me, but this is huge. Don't underestimate how huge this is. This is Netflix trying to get into huge blockbuster IP. Rebel finds the germs of its origins in a Star Wars pitch the filmmaker had developed a decade ago. So he's using a Star Wars pitch that never got made, that was rejected on this movie. It was a more mature take on the universe created by George Lucas and didn't move beyond any meaningful conversations after the Walt Disney Company acquired Lucasfilm in 2012. At one point, he and Newman, who was behind Narcos and Narcos Mexico, wow, another great couple of projects, even went down the path of making it a series. Wow. So Snyder was actually going to be working with George Lucas, or wanted to work with George Lucas. Wow. But it was as a feature that he felt its true potential lay. He began reworking the idea with Johnstad and really dove into the same time as he began making Army of the Dead, bringing in that movie's co-scribe, Hatton the latter at 27, had quietly become an in-demand franchise writer, depending the world of John Wick for Lionsgate by working on the third and upcoming fourth and fifth installments. I spent the last 2 or 3 years building out this universe. Every corner has to be painted in. I've been doing designs, constantly drawing and really cultivating its fertile ground to make this world fully realised. Army was viewed by 72 million people in its first 4 weeks, according to Netflix, landing it in the streamer's top 10 most watched movies. Even before its May 14th release, Snyder and Stone Quarry had a German-language prequel movie, an anime series in production, making Army not just an original property, but a franchise. So he's kicked it off, he's producing that, but other people will kind of do the nuts and bolts of that. This frees Zack to concentrate on Rebel Moon. I love that title. We'll talk about it. Rebel will be another IP and a hoped-for franchise for Netflix, which is building its arsenal in the age of streaming wars. The feature will be Snyder's next movie, and hope is to begin production in early 2022. I've been working on this on the side for so long. It's pretty far along, he says. All this unfurls as Snyder has one of the biggest years in his filmmaking career. On top of arming the new project, he also saw his vision of Justice League restored and make a splashy debut on HBO Max. And the movie's recent international release on DVD and Blu-ray saw it catapult to the top of sales charts in several countries, France and Brazil among them. Wow, 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 wow. We need to unpackage this. Look, Snyder is big business, but because he's a difficult guy to work with, he can't work within the studio system because they want to say in how their movies are developed and shaped, especially their IPs. So he can't work with them. It's clear. So he's gone to Netflix, who don't, basically, all they care about is they got a Zack Snyder film, right? That's what makes money for them and brings subscribers to the streaming giant. So they're not going to interfere. So let's unpackage this, because as I say, when I first heard about this, I thought, but then it clicked in. Then I realised how huge this is fucking going to be. I always have an initial response. I should keep my mouth shut and think about things first. But what's the fun in that? I did used to call myself Big Mouth, by the way. So, right. I'm not going to read the whole thing again. Don't worry. I'm just going to take piece by piece and tell you what I think. Zack Snyder sets next movie sci-fi adventure, Rebel Moon. Let's talk about that title. Rebel Moon. Have you ever heard the term Rebel Base? From Star Wars, yes! So he's calling it Rebel Moon. This is not inspired. This is not being adapted from anything. This is an original story. He's basically, this is taken from a concept that he and another writer had for a Star Wars series he was trying to pitch to George Lucas. This is unprecedented. And if you're at Disney right now, you should be fucking scared. You should be scared for the future of Star Wars, because Star Wars is improving with all these people, right? And Star Wars is a name that's always going to bring some attention to it. The Star Wars IP has been, it's been damaged beyond all reason. It doesn't mean it can't be fixed, but they are in a lot of trouble. Disney hearing this should really, really scare them, because he's taking something that he wrote for Star Wars and turning it into his own thing and own characters. Right. And then, as I say, the Japanese, it's inspired by Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa and Star Wars. Star Wars was inspired by Kurosawa, if I can say the name properly. If you basically see the documentary Empire of Dreams, it's all there. The information's on the internet and in, a biography channel documentaries on Lucas and Star Wars as well. He's literally doing his own version of fucking Star Wars. And one thing we can say, that Snyder makes things look fucking beautiful. So that's not going to be an issue. And we live in an age where people want to see beautiful imagery. But this is going to be his life's work. No one's going to fuck with this. No one's going to interfere with this. I've said a lot of positive things about Snyder and a lot of negative things about Snyder, but I love the way the man makes films. Forget about Ray Fisher. Forget about the toxicity between him and Warner Brothers. This is huge. And this, Netflix are already on the map. They're the biggest streaming service. They were the first streaming service. But this is a film that I think will go throughout movie theatres for at least a month. I think that's what he will want, this in movie theatres first, and then on Netflix. This is huge for them. I can see Netflix movie theatres coming out. This is the first A-list director that they're really using, and I mean A-list. When I talk about A-list, Zack Snyder, I'm talking about people like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg. They've got, is it them who have got Spielberg now? I can't remember. I think he has signed a deal with Netflix. It is Netflix, isn't it? I think it's Netflix. Was it Netflix? I can't remember. I think so anyway. So they're basically going A-list blockbuster. So this is huge. Right. So we're gonna look. So basically, I want to read what the film's about, so I can tell you why this is so a rip-off of Star Wars, right? So basically, he's calling it Rebel Moon. Co-writer will direct and produce a Netflix home of his most recent hit. So, let's read the story. Reb also put Snyder back in business with Netflix Scott Stuber. Yeah, this is the story, right? Just listen to this. This is the story. This is fucking hilarious. And I'm not saying this is hilarious. I'm not making fun of Zack or saying this is a bad thing. I love him for this. I love him. No one will be more hurt about what Disney have done to Star Wars than Zack Snyder. Snyder loves storytelling. He makes stories the way they should be made. He focuses on the compelling nature and the entertainment element. But unfortunately, Warner Brothers and, the studio system is a business. And you can't have someone, subverting expectations on big IPs. But this is his own big IP. He can do what he wants, and this is what he should be doing. This is what I said he should have been doing when the problem started at WB. The story is set in motion when a peaceful colony on the edge of the galaxy is threatened by the armies of a tyrannical region named Balizerus. Desperate people dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from the neighbouring planets to help them make a stand. Right, so they dispatch this woman. In Star Wars A New Hope, they dispatch the droids, the rebels do, don't they? And there's a recording from Princess Leia. Luke and Obi-Wan see it, and that basically tells Obi-Wan to go with Luke and help the rebels. This is exactly the same fucking thing. This is hilarious. He's ripping off Star Wars note for note. But we know that Zack Snyder is going to make this film look much better than any of Disney's Star Wars. And if the story is compelling enough, this could actually work. As I say, if I was Disney, I would be very concerned about this. Now, it'd be interesting to see how Disney feel about this legally. I mean, clearly they know about this. That, their lawyers would have had to have looked at this. There doesn't seem to be an issue. But this is more than inspired by Star Wars. This is going to be Netflix and Snyder's Star Wars. And this, my friends, is huge. He's hoping this will be a big IP. This will be a big IP because people know that literally this is a Star Wars reboot, right? This is like taking Star Wars and starting again with new characters. Everybody knows this. Snyder is capable of making this a huge success, giving Netflix the huge IP they've been craving for, the huge franchise they've been craving for many, many years. This, my friends, is huge news. Snyder could be about to destroy Disney Star Wars. And finally today, with the sad death of Richard Donner, it made me think of something. Now, I've seen a lot of Richard Donner documentaries and Superman documentaries of Superman the movie and what happened with Superman 2. Now, we all know that he came to blows with the Salkinds, who basically bought the rights from Warner Brothers to make Superman and Superman 2. In fact, they made 3 Superman films, the Salkinds. These were Hungarian producers, and it was Alexander's son, Ilya, who had the idea to make a Superman movie. And I'm sure you all know the stories. Alexander said, it's known this Superman, and clearly Ilya's going, hello, Dad! He's the most known character on the planet, so they did it. You have to give the Salkinds credit for having the ambition to do this back then. But they wanted to do it on budget, on the cheap, and you just couldn't do it. Now, Dick Donner told us all what happened when he turned up. The fucking production was a mess. He said, you can't mess around with this. This is Superman. He was spending more money than they wanted to spend. And even in the end, I think Warner Brothers had to get involved and bail him out. But he made an amazing first movie, and he began to shoot Superman 2 as well. The deal with Donner was for him to make both movies back to back. So, they sacked him, and Richard Lester took over. So, I remember something that Dick Donner said in kind of, I think it was a commentary with Tom Mankiewicz, who rewrote Superman the movie and wrote Donner's Superman 2. And they wanted Tom to stay on with their reshoots and rewrites, but he said, no, Dick's my friend, it's not going to happen. But they did discuss how they had an idea for Superman 3, Superman 4, and even a Superman 5. So for a brief time, let's sit back and close our eyes and use our imagination. Where would Superman be today if Dick Donner and Tom Mankiewicz made 5 Superman movies of the quality of Superman the movie, it would have been sensational, my friends. And where would Superman be today in live action? They probably would have brought Supergirl in themselves. The Supergirl and Superman would have crossed over. It would have been sensational. But every time studios and producers want to do things on the cheap and are worried about this and worried about that, and we've seen it with Snyder and WB, you know, forcing Snyder out gave us Justice League. They made a mistake because they were scared of the public reaction. But Donner was sacked because he said in a newspaper interview he didn't want to work with one of the Sulcan's producers. And basically that was their friend. They basically sacked him for that reason. But the reason they fell out was because of budgetary reasons. He was spending so much money, but he was right to spend that money because in the end they made so much money from him spending that money. You've got to speculate to accumulate, even in the entertainment industry, especially when you're making a huge blockbuster. And Richard Donner understood that, and the Sulcans didn't. So as soon as he left, like Superman 2 didn't make anywhere near what Superman the movie made, it still did well, and Superman 3 made 100 million. They're using the excuse of Raiders of the Lost Ark being released at the same time, but that's bullshit, right? Considering that Superman is Superman. Superman should be making more money than an Indiana Jones movie. So the consequences of Dick's exit, because of them, because of their short-sightedness, because of their lack of vision, killed a major Superman franchise, as it did with DC and WB with Zack Snyder. This guy was going to make potentially 5 Superman movies, and Warner Brothers should have grabbed the rights off of the Sulcans and brought Dick back so he could fulfill their vision, or his vision. And I'm just thinking how far along we would be with Superman right now, live action, if that would have happened. He would have made his 5 movies, maybe more, maybe TV shows, maybe a Justice League movie. I discussed this briefly the other day. And then one day, when he was too old, he could handpick his replacement. Maybe it would have been Bryan Singer, maybe it would have been somebody else. We will never know. And Superman would have been rolling along in live action so fine now. And maybe we would have had a DC Extended Universe so much earlier. I'm talking about the 80s. Dick Donner could have created a DC Cinematic Universe in the Christopher Reeves era of Superman, which would have been sensational. Dick would have done this. The only reason Dick never made another superhero movie because his heart was broken because of the way he was treated. As he said, they took my baby away from me. He was heartbroken. He said I could never make another one again because I never thought I could do it as well again, which was very honest. But the truth is, he had big plans for Superman and the DC Cinematic Universe, and because of producers and studios' short-sightedness, again, we missed out. The audience missed out. And I think that's a tragedy, because I sometimes daydream about what his Superman 3 would have been and what his Superman 4 and 5 would have been. Something so much better than we got. So comment down below. Are you excited about Sarah Shire's Black Adam update, and what should we be playing that she'll be fighting the Intergang? What do you think about Zack Snyder's new sci-fi movie? Do you believe, like I do, that this is going to cause reverberations around Hollywood and scare Disney because they know what Netflix and Snyder are up to? This is literally a Star Wars reboot, and I'm very excited to see what Snyder actually does. And what do you think? How do you feel? Would you have loved to have seen, a Superman 1 to 5 and maybe a DC shared universe from Dick Donner and Tom Mankiewicz? I'm certainly sad that never happened. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. Please tap that notification bell so you never miss this perfection. At Movies TV Mad on Twitter, come and say hi. At Movies TV Mad 555 on Instagram, where I talk geek, but I also mess about. I have a little bit of a dance and I have a little bit of a smoke. It's fun, it's random, it's different. You'll enjoy it. So until the next video, goodbye.